Hello everyone and welcome to Wives vs. World. Jackie here. This is the second part of a three-part series about what will potentially happen if your partner comes out to you as trans. But I'm just gonna let Anya and Jackie from the past take this one from here. Enjoy the video. Hi friends and welcome to Wives vs. World, where we have fun talking about queer stuff as a married trans cis lesbian couple. I'm Jackie.
I'm Anya.
So we want to talk about mainly three topics. The first one being, what's this going to mean for you as a partner? Then we want to talk a bit about what it can mean for your relationship. And then thirdly, we want to talk about how you can take care of yourself. Let's talk relationships. That's the second point. What will this mean for your relationship?
If your partner comes out as trans, your relationship might change a little bit. Your relationship dynamic might change. So what can you do to get through that or deal with that?
One of the things we preach here is communication. Communication is key. And if you go with worries or resentment or any doubts or something or uncertainties, that might end up showing. Or worse, it might end up not showing. And you can go through a whole lot of things where you end up feeling not very comfortable. And that can lead to serious fallouts or fights or even, in disaster, ending a relationship that wasn't necessarily, destined to end.
And I think there's a lot to be learned in. It's really important to be honest and open about what you're feeling and figure out how to communicate without hurting each other unnecessarily. Your partner starts changing and maybe you feel oh no, I'm not sure if I'm attracted to them or something like that. You can talk about that. You're allowed to talk about that because maybe the problem isn't what you think it is necessarily. Maybe you see your partner in some kind of dress or something and you feel like, oh, there's something here. I have feelings about this. You can say, I don't know what I feel about seeing you in a dress like this or something. Maybe you feel fine about a skirt or whatever, but you can talk it out. You can get to say your feelings instead of just not saying it and instead building exactly building those bad feelings over time.
I think one or two important things to keep in mind when you have these talks is one, center them on how they make you feel. Like don't make it you.
Yeah.
Like try to make it when X, then I feel this way or I react this way.
Yeah.
Like make sure to center this on your experience so that you don't end up hurting the other person or externalizing your own issues or insecurities and make it like you are doing this, blah, blah, blah. And then have a talk. And then second, and this, like if you're both watching right now or all of you or whatever, it is something I heard not long ago that one of the most important things in relationships is to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood. If you have that level of transparency and that level of communication, you can work almost everything out. Or you can amicably reach a point where, we can agree that that's not going to work out. And that's also perfectly valid. But if you have these talks and if you feel seen, if you feel like your opinions are heard, and if you feel like there is a level of understanding, then you can move pretty much forward from anything.
And again, if we take that example into it, that you say, I feel strange seeing you in an outfit like this, then of course it isn't the trans person's responsibility to change or do something differently, but maybe they are interested in reflecting on that because maybe they thought they had to wear this to be a good trans person or whatever, but it isn't necessarily them or the problem. Or
the next question could be, why do you think that makes you feel uncomfortable?
Exactly. That's a really good point because maybe again, as I said, maybe the problem isn't what you think it is. Maybe the problem isn't your partner in a dress. Maybe it is, I
just never saw myself being with someone who wears a dress.
Exactly.
Or I don't necessarily think dresses are very attractive on people. And then, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to dress in a way that, like trans people, you don't have to dress in a way that makes your partner happy. No one should. Like, you don't have to dress up nicely for your husband or your wife. But even if you wear what you want, then it's still fine to know, well, I do this for me. My partner doesn't necessarily like it. I can reflect on that. Do I want to do something differently as well? Can I play with that?
Yeah, exactly. So even though that can be hard, and I'm not saying like you should dictate each other.
No, pick a fight.
Yeah, exploring these feelings together can really help to work them out.
And who knows, you might also change their perspective on some things. I know maybe we had some talks at some point, that's not going to work. And I'm like, pretty adamantly, I want to do this. And if you make something your own, well, there's going to be a change of perspective.
Exactly. And we had especially two different situations back in the day. One where you didn't completely know what you were doing, so you were just like trying, and some things less successfully than others. And then it wasn't because I don't like seeing you dressed as a woman. It was more
just
like,
don't dress as a toddler.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and other dress is completely fine. That's not a problem at all. But like this combination of clothes or whatever. And then the other where I was like, I'm not really sure I'm feeling that. But then you were like, but I'm feeling it. And then you did it. And then I see what you're going for. It makes sense. I get it. So we have experienced both of those situations.
And have tackled them in different ways.
And of course, this is all, we're just talking about clothes and appearances right now. But this pertains to anything, I think. I suspect that one of the things that can be difficult is that, of course, your partner is coming out, but kind of so are you. This will often be a pronoun thing that you have to actively tell people around you to use a different pronoun for your partner, and you are going to use a different pronoun for your partner. Maybe a lot of people struggle with that, because one thing is that the person themselves have to be like, okay, listen, this is me, you have to respect me like this and this. But it's surprisingly difficult to do it on someone else's behalf, actually. And we went through this, so maybe we can give a bit of perspective.
Story time.
I don't know. When you came out as trans.
So I just started university. I had started using my new name. I was using she/her pronouns. I was wearing floral dresses.
And you had a shift between those.
Yeah.
Like you ended high school, you went on to something else.
And I flipped.
So you didn't necessarily have, it wasn't your usual colleagues or whatever that you had.
No, it was a new setting and a new place for me to really work out what I wanted to do. Meanwhile...
Yeah, I was in high school, and I had been in high school for a few months while we were figuring this out. So when I started high school, I used different name and pronouns for you, I think. But it quickly became apparent that it was gonna change. And the things I did was that I posted on Facebook, because some of the people in my class followed me on Facebook back then, and I said that my partner was a woman, and I was real happy about that, blah blah. And I was like, then people are gonna figure out that I'm gonna use she/her pronouns.
Exactly, there.
That was my way of dealing with the general public. I had a few friends that I had been talking a lot with, and to them I sent a text message where I said, my partner is coming out as trans, and I'm gonna use she/her pronouns for her from now on, and I hope you understand, and I just want to tell you. And they were all supportive and like, oh, great, that's nice, thank you for saying so. And sure, there was a few kids in the other classes that kind of laughed at me or teased me about it, but I just didn't care. I have a high tolerance for stuff like that, so especially back then. So that wasn't an issue. And then there was the family thing.
It was a bit more tricky.
Yeah, it was a bit more tricky. We just started changing pronouns, and there was a bit of confusion at first, but
there were some he's thrown in, and there was just like, no, she. I was like, oh, okay, fine, she.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of went on for some time.
Yeah.
And like, especially my parents referring to you by name instead of pronouns, because it was hard for them to adjust.
Exactly. So it was just Jackie all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's how things are, right? It can be difficult for people to get used to it. But they did eventually, just by us keep doing it.
Yeah, and you were really on the forefront of that, because maybe I was a bit more timid, and maybe I was feeling like I took up some space, or I was an inconvenience, but you were really hitting hard on all these points. Whenever people misgendered me, or if something happened, you'd be like, no, listen, it's my beautiful wife. Shut the you know?
I did that? Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, don't you remember?
It's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. So you might meet something like that. Yeah. You might be in situations where you have to stand up for your partner. You might be in situations where you have to, out yourself as someone who has a trans partner.
And maybe that can be uncomfortable, especially if you meet people who are not accepting or who won't like be nice to you.
We are entering a climate now, a discourse. I think we can see more and more places in the world where things are becoming increasingly hostile right now. Is this going to be safe for my partner? Is this going to be safe for me? Can I deal with all of this? I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, that can be a lot. You can have a lot of feelings about it and you can feel like it's too much.
If you are in a very hostile environment, you can maybe also make some kind of agreement that you need to refer with all pronouns at your workplace or whatever to keep you both safe, but with like really talking about it with each other and making sure that that will work or something like that. I'm not sure how to deal with this because I haven't experienced this situation, but I'm just trying to imagine what we would have done if we had ever had to deal with stuff like that. But I've always been a very balls out person, just being like, this is my situation, you have to deal with it or you can get the fuck out of my face. And that has worked for me, surprisingly. And anyone who has kind of not liked that about me or disagreed with me or whatever, they have obviously just stayed away.
Yeah, the door is there.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't had to work together with people who actively despise me. Yeah. I have no idea what to do if that doesn't work.
That's what works for us. Doesn't necessarily work everywhere.
Yeah.
Laws are being put into place, especially like if you have kids who are trans, that's going to be a whole really, really complicated thing in a lot of states. We don't know how to deal with that. We don't have trans kids. I was a trans kid. Don't really know how to deal with that. But that's a lot of negative things. But if we turn that a bit around, there are some really, really potentially positive things.
Yes. And we can say this, and a lot of people have said this as well in our comments, that if you go through this experience together, you can grow so infinitely close because you learn so much about each other and you have to talk about so many complicated things and figure it out together. And if you do that, you can get a really, really functional, stable, beautiful, intimate relationship.
Yeah.
And I just think that's very, very beautiful.
You might have a different opinion on this than I do, but I think being best friends with your partner is, to me, quintessentially what a good relationship is. And you really are my best friend, and I know you so well, and you know me so well.
Why would I disagree?
I'm not saying you, I'm saying you.
I was like, what are you going to say now that I disagree?
Because I know some people are like, well, I have my relationship and I have my friends, and you can also keep those things separate. And I think that's fine. But for me, a relationship just doesn't work necessarily very well unless the person I'm with is also someone I can, like, you know, be friends with. And I think a lot of that came about after coming out, because we had to talk about everything. We had to intimately talk about our fears, our hopes, our dreams, our insecurities, like
the future a lot. We had to talk about the future a lot because we were so young.
So you potentially grow really, really close together, and you might end up having a much more communicative and, I'm not going to say open relationship, but like a much more tight-knit and strong relationship.
Especially because if a person feels like they're hiding a part of themselves or not being completely honest with themselves or other people, they will always have that part of themselves.
There will be some resistance.
Yeah.
And I felt that when I was because I sometimes I would just space out. Sometimes I just couldn't deal.
You had this like wall.
Yeah.
Wall.
Wall.
Wall. What word is that? You had this wall.
Wall.
Wall. That's really difficult to say for my potato Danish mouth.
But yeah, there might be some kind of wall that you just can't bypass. And would you rather be with 100% of a person than 20-25?
Exactly. And then there's also the benefit that if you stay with a trans partner and you get to see them live to their full potential and see them flourish and bloom and become who they're meant to be, it's such a invigorating experience.
You think so?
Absolutely. To see all that potential that you knew that they have suddenly be out into the world, and their happiness will go up, hopefully. I can't say this, but like if a trans partner just becomes happier and more themselves and more open and more
in tune with her inner goddess.
Yeah, that will affect the relationship positively. My mouth is dry. Someone told me I was too thirsty, so now I don't drink anything.
Please drink something.
So now I can't say wall or relationship.
Wall. And I think it can actually also give you a much greater appreciation for gender as a whole, like gender expression, and can actually unlock a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like,
and I know we talk about gender being very difficult all the time, but gender is very fun.
Gender is a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. You can have a lot of fun with it if you will, if you dare.
If you must. We hope you liked this video, and if you did, you can subscribe for more. Someone says it's true. If you want to be sure to get a notification whenever we upload, you can hit the bell icon. We try to upload every Sunday, but if we miss one, you can always check out our Instagram for, you know, all the good things that are happening in our lives and maybe get some updates and some pictures and some wholesome goodness. And I think with those words, take care of yourself, and we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.